Hello, my name is Wendy Myers of MyersDetox.com. Thank you so much for joining us for the podcast today. I have a really interesting show today with my friend Rowena and Hans Eng, and we're going to be talking about an amazing technology, a device called the NanoVi. And this is a device that helps you to improve protein repair, improve protein folding, fight oxidative stress, and to basically repair the damage caused by toxins, heavy metals, chemicals, and pesticides in our environment that's in our air, food, and water. And this is an amazing device. I've been using it for about a month. I feel so much better since I've been using it. I wake up every morning. I do it. I do it for about 15 minutes. It gives me this huge boost of energy. It gives me almost this high. I feel really good after I use it. And I'm so happy I learned that I can actually use it all day long if I want. I can use it for a few hours, which I'll be doing really soon. And this is one of the tools that I'm using to improve my health and to improve my body's ability to detox and repair damage that's been done by all the toxins in our environment. And so I encourage you guys to check it out. It's an amazing podcast. We talk about how it reduces inflammation. Dave Asprey, Ben Greenfield, and other people are using this device to improve their health as well. So check it out. So if you want to learn all about detoxification, I'd love for you to download my free guide. It's the top 10 tips to detox like a pro checklist. It's a very simple document. I've worked with thousands of clients and I've distilled my top 10 tips to detox into this checklist. So go to detoxforenergy.com to download it. It's totally free. My guests today are Hans Eng. He is the president and CEO of Eng3 Corporation. It's a Seattle-based company that produces applied biophysics technology for the US and international markets. His 32 years of experience with advanced medical technologies includes working for Johnson & Johnson in Europe and the formation, growth, and successful scale of a German medical implant company. Hans has deep experience in research and development, production, and quality assurance for medical devices. An advanced mechanical engineering degree from the University of Applied Sciences Berlin, combined with his background in material science and proteomics, enabled Hans to develop the patented technology that underlies Eng3's NanoVi products. Rowena is a principal and the vice president for Eng3 Corporation, and she is focused on Eng3's business development and international strategic relations for more than a decade. Rowena is a serial entrepreneur. Prior to joining Eng3, she spent 6 years as founder and CEO of NanoVi Corporation, which provided internet-based solutions for international trade. Before Aviaric, she co-founded a document imaging company, now doing business as ImageSource. Prior to this, in 1995, she co-founded one of the earliest companies to offer an internet-based solution to the logistics industry. Rowena received a doctorate from the University of Washington for her dissertation in international strategic alliances. You can learn more about Hans and Rowena and the NanoVi at Eng3Corp.com. It's ENG3CORP.com. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having us. Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourselves and how you got into the health field?
Yeah, my entire work time was basically in the health area. After the university, I studied material science at the university, special materials. I went into the medical device industry, based or focused on human implants. So everything that you can put into the humans, artificial bones, artificial joints. Everybody knows today about hip joints and knee joints. And I worked in the R&D department for special surface condition, surfacing with different new materials to have a perfect grow into the bone, grow into the tissue. And exposed me to the entire cell biology. How are cells growing? What is the problem? Why cells are dying? And what are the stresses on the cells? So that is now more than 30 years ago. And I moved forward in this direction where the cells, the cellular activities are important. By finding out, by knowing more, what are the cells doing actually to function. I go into this whole field of medical devices to support the cellular activity. And one of the most important part, which is our focus, are the proteins in the cells. And the proteins is material science. The proteomic is material science about the proteins. And we have a lot of these in our body. We have we assume 900,000 different proteins. And these proteins are exposed constantly, especially to oxidative stress, and they are starting to lose their function when they get damaged. And our technology is based on this knowledge and how can this function be reinstalled.
Yes, and Rowena, what about yourself? How did you get into the health industry?
Well, it was sort of by accident. I had been in high-tech internet-based software companies, and I started as a volunteer. I said I'd help out with Hans, and then I realized how helpful it was to people, and I loved that. Nobody had ever been so appreciative when I was doing, international trade documentation over the internet. And so it really shifted me over to want to spend my career working with people on these health issues and helping them.
Yes. Yeah. And so Hans, can you tell us about the NanoVi? This is an amazing biohacking tool, so to speak. Tell us how it works. So do I just breathe in the air that comes out? But can you explain what happens inside the device and in the body? So essentially, it's a device. It creates air. There's some things in the air. You're gonna explain that, and you put on. You can breathe it through your mouth, or you can put on a cannula and breathe it through your nose. So tell us what exactly it's doing.
Yeah. I would like to explain at first what happens generally in our body. Like I explained, I mentioned that our cells are constantly exposed to oxidative stress. Inside, the proteins are exposed to it. What happens during this time? The proteins are losing their three-dimensional structure, and when they lose it, they stop to function. We have a certain kind of loss of function. Our body has to reinstall these functions usually very fast again, because otherwise we would pretty much die very fast. And to do this in the body, in the cells around the proteins, the water where they are embedded in have to get into a higher order. And this order is always achieved in the body through a very specific reactive oxygen species. That is an activated oxygen that is responsible, after it emits its electromagnetic energy, to create the higher order water that is building the layer around the proteins. So with this layer, the proteins are now, and that is enough, have enough trigger energy to switch over and to fold. And when we are getting older, when we have more demand on our body, we are not creating enough of this kind of special layer that is necessary for the proteins to fold. And that is where our technology comes in. Since more than 20 years, we know how those layers are being produced. That is basically water science. And the special layer of water is called EZ, or fourth phase of water. There are a lot of researchers out of different universities. And what our technology is doing, we are emitting in the device the same electromagnetic energy to the water molecules in the vapor, in the humidity. So that is being absorbed, the electromagnetic energy, and builds on these little droplets in the humidity on the outside, the special layers of water. The easy water is right on the outside. And with an air stream, with the pumps that we have in there, with the air stream, we push gentle this kind of water droplets to your mucous membrane. Yeah? So you feel when you inhale this air, a nice breeze coming in. Yeah? But we are focused on these droplets in the water molecules that they touch your mucous membrane. Yeah? And then it happens in the same way how it happens in our body. Yeah? These water layers are being transferred to the protein surface. Yeah? So we are basically copying the nature here and assisting with our technology the natural process that forms the layers of the ordered water around the proteins so that they can refold again and start to work again.
Okay. And can you explain oxidative stress a little bit more? So you're saying the oxidative stress causes proteins to not fold properly. We know things like glyphosate, which is a pesticide, will cause proteins to not fold properly. What are some of the other toxins or things that will induce oxidative stress? And what is oxidative stress exactly?
Yeah. Oxidative stress exactly is a byproduct of our cell energy production. Whenever we inhale oxygen, it is transported to our mitochondria, and the mitochondria in a biochemical process is producing ATP. That is necessary for all chemical functions and reactions in our body. As a side product, we produce unneeded reactive oxygen species. So these are oxygen molecules that are not necessary, and the mitochondria is discharging these into the cell. And we are producing quite a bit, something about 650 quadrillion free radicals per day. And our body, and these free radicals are highly interested to bind with other components they can find in front of them. And as mentioned, we have a lot of proteins. Basically, beside water, proteins are the most abundant components in the cells. So these free radicals have a lot of targets that can bind with. Our body itself, or better the biology, the nature, try to put some scavenger molecules in front of these reactive oxygen species, so that they better bind with the scavenger molecules. That is called antioxidants. But still, most of the proteins, most of the free radicals are connecting with proteins and damage these proteins. That is an unavoidable reaction. On top of it, we are creating reactive oxidative stress, having cosmetics on our skin. The sun is shining on cosmetics. We have some leftover pharmaceuticals in our system. The sun shines on the skin, that breaks it down, that we create the reactive oxygen in our body, and that has an defecting part. Besides this, we have a lot of other influences from the outside that damage proteins. High energy, like radiation energy, cancer treatments, or flying a plane, that will have an impact on proteins so that they fall apart. Even high temperature, getting a sunburn, that is really high temperature, we break down tissues, proteins are falling apart. We have possibilities of taking toxins into our body, to eat substances that shouldn't belong in our body, and they go in reaction, and as a side product, they are producing, again, reactive oxygen species that damage our body. So there are a lot of things that is part of life, we could say, to create oxygen, reactive oxygen species. And we know since many years that that is a cause for aging. Reactive oxygen species, that is called free radicals, are accumulating damages, and we are aging. And all oxygen-utilizing species have the same problem, or like I say, they have the same process. So they are aging. It doesn't matter if we are humans or an animal. Even plants are aging because of free radicals and oxidative stress.
Yes. Yeah, and so when you're using a NanoVi, you put a cannula in your nose and breathe in. So I'm doing about 15 minutes a day of doing that. So and that's kind of how you use the system. It's very simple. You just breathe in for 15 minutes a day, depending on the one you have, the model you have. Some you have to do it for an hour. So what are some of the benefits that people will experience when they use the NanoVi on a regular basis?
Well, one of the first things that people will notice is that they have better sleep, and it will help people feel less stressed and sleep more easily. And the idea is to help balance out the autonomic nervous system. And so when that happens, then it's got the mood advantages and the sleep advantages. So that one's fairly universal. And then other things really depend on the individual's condition. So if they're, the older they are or the more ill they are, then it's easier to see the difference in between using it and not using it. And so then there's all kinds of conditions that it is used for. And then those various measures can be used to see what's going on for any individual with the condition.
And it gets used for enhancing sports performance as well. Like Ben Greenfield is using the system to help, get every edge that he possibly can to biohack his biology. And so how does it help athletes?
Well, it's a really big one for athletes, and athletes, especially performance athletes, can tell the difference because they recover faster. So by boosting the repair side of the equation in that oxidative stress scenario that Hans described, people recover faster, and athletes putting physical or mental strain on your body are ways to create, you're burning more oxygen, you're creating more oxidative stress. And so for athletes, it can be quite a dramatic difference in how fast they bounce back after a grueling workout. And people use it also in advance for performance because they believe that it's just better mitochondrial function and better energy for performance. We have a racing team, a car racing team using it. For that reason, they're biohacking, between stints in the car, essentially.
Yeah, and an inflammation is a huge problem. So an athlete will have inflammation, or really anyone living today has some degree of inflammation. Usually the sicker you are, the more inflammation you have. So tell us more about how the NanoVi addresses inflammation.
Yeah. Will you?
Well, I'll give you a really fast answer. Hans would probably be much longer. But inflammation is, it's a protein repair issue. So the faster that the better the proteins are working for you, then the more you can reduce the chronic inflammatory process. The acute inflammatory process, that is the inflammation you need if you cut yourself or injure yourself and you need your body to go into repair mode, is a different story. But where we get in trouble kind of universally in our society is chronic inflammation, which is not productive. And so that's because the repair is not keeping up and some of the systems are out of balance, and it just creates an inflammatory environment. Could be related to anything from, food to exposure, obviously toxins, and or things like stress are going to be, help create that soup of inflammation in the system.
What about you, Hans? What is your extra long explanation?
Yeah. Basically, all functions that our body has to execute are protein-controlled functions. Yeah? So most of these functions we don't recognize and we don't mentally, consciously control. Yeah? So we cannot control our digestion, we cannot control our wound healing or anything like this. These are all tasks that are constantly controlled by protein. The amount of oxygen that you utilize in certain areas of your cells are all protein controlled. Yeah? The possibility that you can stay concentrated right now and listen is a protein controlled process. So if you have a high demand in a certain area, let us think you're a manager who really concentrated the whole day, your head and your brain, you metabolize to get a lot of ATP, you metabolize a lot of oxygen. As byproduct, you produce a lot of oxidative stress in your head. So the damages that occur will reduce your ability to concentrate. You get tired, and over a long time, over several years, you cannot concentrate anymore. So to repair those things in those areas, Yeah? You have to repair the protein function that were lost, and therefore that our technology is then used for those things to perform better. Yeah? So not only in the thinking part, yeah, where you metabolize oxygen, what a lot of people are not aware of it, yeah? But we know that we are getting tired after thinking. Yeah? In the sports field, the same thing. Yeah? When you metabolize in certain tissues, muscle tissues, more oxygen, you produce more damage. Yeah? But if you would like to perform with these muscles a little bit better than your competitors, yeah, you have to repair the damage. Yeah? So by repairing the damage, you can now train a little bit more. By having a better training, you will be at the end better. Yeah?
Yeah.
So the protein functions in our body are turned on by proteins and are also turned off by other proteins. Yeah? So if you have, for example, say an inflammation, yeah, and there is no cause for this inflammation, like you have no toxification in a certain area, yeah, it could be possible that the proteins that are responsible to turn off the inflammation are not working anymore. And you run in a chronic inflammation process in your body without having a real cause for it. So by repairing those proteins that turn this off, you can address chronic inflammation. And the same thing in the other direction. If you have a cause in your body, if you have a toxification in your body and you would like that your inflammation turns on, these proteins have to work. If these are broken and don't start their function, they cannot fight the problem that is in the body. So we try to support this reinstallation of the function.
And so for anyone that's wanting to detoxify their body of heavy metals and toxins and chemicals, how does the NanoVi assist in doing that?
Well, there's two aspects of it. One thing, when the body just tries to, repair itself, it's going to try to shed toxins. So if we give a boost to the repair side, it will have that natural effect of facilitating detox. And the other side of it is, depending on the detox process, it can be very energy draining. It can be hard on the system, and people feel, depleted. They may, have headaches. It can be a challenge for the system. And so that side of it, they need the extra cell energy production. They need more energy to kind of counteract the extra work they're doing through the detox process. And so it's really great used in combination with a detox protocol. In fact, we have it being used by, say, in cardiology, it'll be used during a process, a detox process, to help keep people vital and support them.
Yes, and so part of, I've heard that the NanoVi is almost like breathing in biophotons. Is that correct?
No, that is not really correct. No.
Well, what is in it? What is exactly in it?
The important part is that the electromagnetic energy is being absorbed by the water droplets. Yeah. So that does not mean that the water droplets are now loaded with the electromagnetic energy. That is not possible. Yeah? So when water absorbs electromagnetic energy, and they can only absorb very specific electromagnetic wavelengths, yeah? When it absorbs it, then it creates on the surface higher density of water molecules, the so-called easy water. Yeah? So you can measure this. That is, in the right laboratories, you can measure this because this water has different other material specifications.
Yeah, when you use a sauna, an infrared sauna, you increase easy water as well in your body.
Yes, especially you increase the easy water on the humidity that is in the sauna. Yeah? We have a little tiny problem to absorb the electromagnetic waves directly through our skin. Yeah? Because our skin is like a shield, a buffer, that does not have a lot of water in it, the surface. So it tries not to be exposed to electromagnetic energy. So it has to go through the humidity to get in. So basically, you could inhale in the sauna the treated humidity. If there is enough humidity. Only thing is, it has to be the right electromagnetic wave. Visible light, for example, is absolutely not being absorbed by water. That is why water is transparent. Why water is transparent. We can see blue light through water. Absorbable electromagnetic energy, you would not be able to recognize it on the other side of the water, because it is being absorbed. That is a characteristic. It goes in on one side but doesn't come out on the other side. So in these electromagnetic wavelengths, which are in this area, they are all not visible, and they are different other technologies than an infrared sonar.
So Wendy, what Hans is referring to is the wavelengths and the use of the water, which is what our technology does. At lower wavelengths, there's other technologies like saunas or lasers or whatever that are doing something different, and they will operate through the skin, whereas what we're doing will not, because it has to be absorbed by the water molecules.
Okay. So I notice you're breathing in through the cannula. There's air coming through the water, and you can choose different colors of light to illuminate the water. What is the function of that, and why do you have different colors that you can choose from? You can choose all of them. What is that for?
It's decorative. It's really designed so that it's appealing and relaxing, and also in a clinical setting that by illuminating the water, it's easy for a clinician to see if a session has stopped because the light's off. And so it's really, that's really the function of it. Now, with light and color, people find different benefits on it. So like Dave Asprey sets his on red.
I set mine on purple. It's my favorite color.
Yeah, and so people will find what works for them, or maybe it's blue first thing in the morning, but red at night, or, and so it's something you can kind of play with and individualize.
Okay, but it's a completely different thing. The color that is illuminating the glass container has no effect on the humidity that is being transported to you.
Yeah, it's not part of the function of the device.
Okay, great. I was just curious if it had some effect. And so, are there some studies that have been done on the impact of NanoVi?
There are. There are.
Yes, we have the studies made in different levels. One thing is when we try to produce so-called this easy water, we have to show that we produce easy water. So the material testing for this is done. We made the testing at the university that we are emitting actually the correct electromagnetic energy to the water molecules. So because you cannot see this energy, you have to measure it. And the test shows how much we produce. Our device works in this part. The next thing is we wanted to see how the NanoVi humidity affects one protein, and the one most protein-like component that we have is the DNA. So we made tests to see how fast broken DNA strands are repairing again. The next group of tests is then, do we affect entire protein networks? That means more complex protein interaction to achieve a certain thing, and we use therefore the lactate reduction to see how fast people are rebuilding the content in their cells to get rid of lactate. We use this as a placebo-controlled study also at a university. And then we go ahead with a lot of other studies on measurement devices, measurement technologies that we know that are measuring protein function, like the heart rate variability, the oxygen utilization. Those measurement technologies are then used to show that we can measure this on those technologies. Like you said, some people can recognize the impact. Some people can measure their performance levels when we stay in the athlete area. And some other people would like more to see measurement devices, diagnosis devices, to see how that is being affected. Yeah? And as long as the diagnosis devices is a protein function device, yeah, that you can measure the protein function, then you will see the results. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I feel amazing after I do a session. I mean, I almost feel high. I feel kind of just like I'm floating on air. I feel really rejuvenated. I like to do it right when I wake up, and I usually feel kind of pretty groggy and not so great. So I like to use the NanoVi in the morning, and it just really gives me a wonderful boost, and it really wakes me up. I did it one time in the evening, and I had a little bit of trouble sleeping because I think it's very like energizing for me. And that was just one time though, but I find that over the last few weeks that I've been using it, I've been sleeping better for sure. And I just generally feel better. And so what are some of the other benefits that people can experience? I know some people are very, very ill. They can experience feeling better because their body is repairing itself better. Can you talk a little more about that?
Did you mean the things that don't involve medical claims?
Yes.
Okay, it's a little tricky.
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. We know that most of our chronic disorders, chronic disease, chronic illnesses are caused by oxidative stress. We are accumulating too many damages, and at the end of a longer period, sometimes it could be in the middle of our lifetime, sometimes more likely to the end. Yeah, these damages are accumulating on a group of proteins, and we are running into chronic disease. Yeah, so depending on how bad this is, yeah, we can try to address this condition. Yeah, and help the body to repair areas which are related to protein function that are not working and causing this chronic disease. Yeah? We only can support and help this, yeah, because there are a lot of other factors in it too. Yeah? If chronic oxidative stress causes some damages on the DNA and now wrong proteins are being produced, yeah, we have no effects on this. Yeah? We cannot repair the blueprint in our cells. We cannot repair DNA. That is not possible to have the right gene expressions and it's reinstalled again. Yeah? Other areas we see, you can have a sunburn, you can have a cut, you can have a wound. Yeah, all these are cellular function, yeah, to recover again. Very often, these cellular functions are basically using a lot of cell energy, a lot of ATP. And like I mentioned in the beginning, the ATP production in the mitochondria is a protein function. Yeah? So as long as our body is able to deliver enough oxygen that we breathe to the cells, the ATP production will be fine. Yeah? On the other hand, the mitochondria is the center of the free radical production. So the exposure to free radical damage in the mitochondria is extremely high. Yeah? Why, when we are aging, the effect is also we are producing less and less cell energy. Yeah? And with less cell energy, all the biochemical reactions in our bodies don't have enough fuel to execute. Yeah? So we are getting earlier tired, we are earlier exhausted and those things, very often only because our oxygen utilization, yeah? So the ATP production out of the oxygen is slowed down, and that we try to reinstall with this technology also, that the ATP production goes high again, and everything that is related to ATP.
I had another really good experience with the NanoVi. I went to Florida to go visit my friend Robert Marking over the holidays and last year, and I show up at his house, and I was starting to get the flu. And I had a long plane ride, and my daughter was sick, and I just, it's flu season. And I was going down, like I was just not feeling good at all, getting worse and worse and worse as the day progressed. And he has a NanoVi. He said, "Here, come over here and do this." And I'm like, "Whatever, let me try it." And I put it on, and I breathed it in for an hour, and I felt a lot better. And I had the flu. I mean, I was sick for 7 to 10 days. I mean, it was a long illness, but it wasn't nearly as bad as what I heard other people reporting the severity of their flu symptoms. We had a really, really bad flu season. And mine wasn't really that bad at all. It's almost like I had a long head cold. But colds don't last 7 to 10 days. And I really feel like using the NanoVi right when I started to get ill, it really just reduced the severity of my symptoms a lot.
Well, you're touching on something that when Hans was talking about the studies, there was also a study that looked at inflammatory markers, so blood components that showed the acute inflammation, which is a measure of the immune response. And in a double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover study, they could show that the NanoVi heightened that immune response. And so it's not surprising that it would help people, fend things off and also address, injuries or surgeries or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Robert also told me that he's a big fan of the NanoVi. He's been using it for a while. And he told me that he was a guest on the podcast before as well. He told me that he'd heard of a girl that started using the NanoVi, and within 2 weeks, she lost about 15 pounds. And so I've been using it like every day. Like, come on, let's go, let's lose some weight. But because we know, resistant weight loss can be also a byproduct of the inflammation state that many people are in.
Mm-hmm. So, and that does happen. It won't happen to everybody. It'll always support the weight loss process, but some people are sort of metabolically in a position where they can get a lot of benefit from it. And once things come back online and work better, the weight will just fall off. Yes. But it all depends on the person, which is something we should say generally. Yeah. Everybody's different. What their body needs to do to repair is different for everybody.
I'm waiting very patiently. Yeah. Yeah. But I love the Nano. I mean, I'm using it every single morning. I just feel so much better. I mean, I just feel this huge boost in how I feel. I feel better throughout the rest of the day. So I'm definitely not skipping a day ever. And I even had this, my girlfriend wanted me to go out of town for the week, for like a long weekend with her. And I thought, I have to bring the NanoVi. Like, I can't go 4 days without it.
Takes a transportation case and travel with it.
Yes, I need to get one of those because I don't want to travel now unless I have it. And
but with the weight loss, that is an area that there are actually measurement devices out there. So the metabolic resting rate measures how much calories you burn when you sit on a chair. Which means, the clear interpretation, how many biological reactions are going on in your body. And when that goes on and is on a high level, you burn a lot of calories. You need a high metabolic resting rate, so to burn calories. If that is low, your body is storing all the input instead of burning it.
Yeah, and so the benefits here, you have a much better improved bodily function, metabolism, repair, reduction of inflammation. And so when someone starts to use the NanoVi, can they have any reactions? Can they have any detox effects because maybe their body hasn't been working so well for a long time, and then they start breathing in the NanoVi? Can they have any kind of issues?
Yeah, that's, you mentioned the sleep and when it energizes you at night. One issue is especially when you start using it, don't start at night because you can get more energetic when you're trying to sleep. And then with the detoxification, if a person is highly sensitive, carrying a lot of toxins, they should start very slowly to use the device and build it up because you don't want the detoxification process to exceed the elimination channels, and then you overload it and they feel unwell. And so for those people, and they're relatively unusual, but for those people, they need to start with a small amount of time, maybe on your device, just a couple minutes, and then build it up comfortably and slowly and sort of support their body that way rather than the big hammer.
Yeah, I prefer the big hammer. So I started out at 15 minutes.
But you're healthy. You're healthy.
Yeah.
You're not somebody that's just carrying a load of toxins and, all kinds of things are kind of out of kilter. That's why your weight doesn't just fly off because you're not so far off balance, Yeah. It's when people are metabolically quite a ways off and they get a shift back into balance and then more dramatic things happen.
Yes, yes. And so, so I use it for 15 minutes. Can you use it for more than that?
Oh yeah, I use it a lot, but I have it at my desk. And so if you're writing and things, then there's no reason not to put it on, especially the afternoon. If you do morning and afternoon and double up the sessions, there's no reason not to do it if it's convenient.
Okay,
I'm
gonna do that. I'm gonna take your advice on that.
While you're watching a movie, that works. Yeah, here we are in the office. We are all using it while we are working. We have the nasal cannula. Yeah, that is one option. The other one is a touch-free flex arm option. Yeah? But I, for example, prefer the nasal cannula because I can take a phone call and do work and can move with it, yeah, and that's absolutely not in the way.
Okay, so you can use it for hours and it's fine?
Yeah, I can incorporate it in my daily routine without any problems, yeah.
Okay.
And we have other people who are going to bed with it, yeah. So they put the timer on and then they go to bed and sleep. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, and so you have 3 different models. So you have one you recommend use for an hour, one I believe is 30 minutes, and then the higher end one is the one you use for 15 minutes. So what are some of the differences in those?
Well, the biggest difference is the amount of time that they take, which is the power of the device. The 2 more powerful devices both have a smart card technology, so if they're used at a fitness center, a wellness center, medical clinic, they can use smart cards, so that they can be basically self-service. A person can come in with their card, start the device, and use it. And the smallest, least powerful device doesn't have that. And so those are really the differences in the minutes, the session time that matters. And
the difference is basically one thing is always double the performance output, which reduces the time by half. Yeah.
Yes.
So the high-end device is 15 minutes. Yeah, has the highest power. The next device is twice as much, 30 minutes. Yeah, and the smallest device is an hour to use for the same benefit always. Yeah. So it depends on how much time you have it, how you incorporate it in other routines and other procedures. Yeah, how you incorporate it in your day and how much you're able and willed to spend.
And the other difference is the price.
Yes, I was going to get to that. So how much does it cost? So it's not a small investment, but this is something where we have so many toxins in our environment, so many things working against us, so many people on polypharmacy, on 5 or 10 medications, so many things working against us and our body's proteins and inflammation. So what is the cost and like how do people justify the cost of the NanoVi?
Well, over the long haul, and it's designed for a very long haul, the way it's designed and built, it's a very inexpensive way to go because you buy the device up once. The only thing you need to operate it is distilled water, so there's no ongoing cost. But the initial cost is higher than a toaster. So they're ranging from a little over $5,000 to a little under or a little more than $13,000 depending on which device it is. And but you have a tangible asset that is not that lasts forever, so you don't have a recurring monthly cost like we do with a lot of our different modalities.
Yeah, and the lifetime is extremely long. With the devices, you can share it. Many people can have one device, shared. In a professional environment, they can use punch cards. They take the treatments and those things. They have a very, very interesting return of investment for this. And because of the long lifetime, we have minimum number of applications. We designed the device, the high-end device, for 40,000 treatments. So this treatment is then break down over the costs. Not very much than any other that what we have here.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, are they using it at Bulletproof Labs?
Yes.
Oh, that's what I thought. Dave Asprey, I assumed that he was using it offering it at his Bulletproof Labs. The one's in Santa Monica. I know they're opening other ones soon.
And actually, they need more down there because
they do.
It's the best device for pairing with other modalities, and they have a number of things that just are great combinations. So they really need more devices, I think. But one of the areas that they have there that we've had really good results with is neurofeedback. So they have the baseline of what neurofeedback does, but when you combine the two results, it's really quite an advantage.
Interesting. So is there anything we've left out of the conversation that you might want to add?
Let's see.
Yeah, the entire device is made in the US. Yeah, that is also very important to know.
I'll make Trump happy.
Actually, the parts and everything is coming from. It is designed here in Seattle.
But German engineering.
We produce it here in Seattle, and the company itself is now around, or the product itself is more than 7 years in the market. NanoVi you can find pretty much worldwide. Especially in the Western world, you can find it, where the importance of prevention and regeneration is important and become more and more focused in the society.
Fantastic. So why don't you tell the listeners where they can learn more about your company and learn more about the NanoVi and get one?
Well, our website is Eng3 Corp.com. So it's ENG3CORP.com. And it's actually a great place to go to learn more about it. And there is a 3D video that shows how it works, because it is hard to get your arms around. It's quite unique. I guess we should add that there's nothing like it. And so it's hard. People have to sort of come up to speed with it. So that website has a How Does NanoVi Work page.
Yes.
And that's a great resource. And then there's also forms to contact Eng3 through there, or just give us a call.
Yes, go to eng3corp.com/Wendy-Myers, and you can watch that video that you're talking about and learn more about how the NanoVi works. There'll be a little video of me on there also as well. So it's eng3corp.com/Wendy-Myers. And these will be in the show notes as well. If you go on myersdetox.com and search for our podcast, you guys with Hans Eng and Rowena, you'll be able to find the links of everything we're talking about and watch this video. This is a video podcast. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And everyone, if you want to learn more about detoxification, you can go to myersdetox.com. My name is Wendy Myers. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show. And I love, educating you guys about all these different biohacking tools that you can use to hack your biology, improve your body's ability to detox, and generally improve your life and improve your energy production. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Wendy.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Wendy.